Bonuses were supposed to help the VA recruit and retain employees to prepare for and increase the help with the workload from veterans filing for benefits under the PACT Act. And joining Capitol Review is John Byrnes. John is the Strategic Director for Concerned Veterans for America. He's also a veteran himself. John, welcome back to Capitol Review.
Thanks again for having me on, Mark.
Well, what is your reaction to this Watchdog Report?
Well, you're talking about the OIG report that came out this week.
Yes.
About PACT Act money being used for bonuses to senior VA officials instead of going to veterans and to frontline workers, helping those veterans get their benefits and their health care. And it's just atrocious. It's just another sign of the complete mismanagement at the VA, particularly under Secretary McDonough, the current VA secretary.
You know, those funds were supposed to go toward retaining people to help with the influx of work to come from the passage of the PACT Act. How do you respond to this? It was supposed to help with veterans and their health care. How do you?
This comes on the heels of the 10th anniversary of the Phoenix VA scandal, which was about the exact same thing. It was about VA officials faking the books so that they could collect major bonuses. And, you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Congress has passed multiple laws trying to hold the VA more accountable, trying to get more choice into veterans' health care so the veterans could pick their providers outside the system. And all we've seen is the VA bureaucracy do the same things over and over again. Here we have a case where the Undersecretary of the VA for Health and the Undersecretary of the VA for Benefits took this money, and instead of spending it to help veterans get their benefits, to get their health care, to get the frontline workers that are required to do that, they took the money and gave it to their senior executives for bonuses. We're talking about just in the case of the PACT Act monies to senior executives, we're talking about $11 million. Meanwhile, the VA is short about 73,000 employees to help administer these programs. And, you know, Concerned Veterans for America and the unions at the VA, especially the American Federation for Government Employees, we're not typically in agreement, but we both agree at this point that those 73,000 new employees need to be put into place.
Well, you know, John, the VA has had an image problem over the years. This doesn't help.
This doesn't help at all. And again, you know, we helped pass the bill in 2014, the Choice Act that called for accountability for senior executive service members. We were part of the 2017 VA Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act movement and passage. And both of those called for accountability measures. And here we have two of the top VA officials, political appointees, awarding bonuses to their top people. And there's almost no accountability whatsoever. The OIG at least published their names. There's talk about recouping some of the money. Employees seem to be fighting that. You know, in the meantime, there's no discipline for these two senior undersecretaries as well. You know, they should be disciplined. Perhaps they should resign. Perhaps they should be terminated. But there has to be some kind of accountability for the taxpayer dollars.
You know, John, you talk about the importance of accountability. What should the VA do to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
Well, the VA should follow the rules and follow the law, right? Congress assigned this PACT Act money to be used to support efforts to bring in these PACT Act veterans, these veterans who are victims of burn pits overseas and other toxic exposures, to help them get more benefits and to help them get VA healthcare where appropriate. And the VA just didn't follow the rules. The VA secretary, you know, perhaps he just wasn't tracking what his employees were doing. He certainly seems currently rather upset about it, and it looks like he wants to make this right. But again, he has to hold those employees accountable.
John, what else can happen here? Can Congress intervene? What would you like to see happen?
Well, there are some bills that we're tracking, including the Restore a VA Accountability bill, and that would reinforce the accountability measures in the 2017 VA Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act. It would enforce some of the measures back in the 2014 Choice and Accountability Act. But at the end of the day, if nobody in the VA is holding the folks accountable and following the law, all Congress can do is continually, call them to the carpet until at some point Congress, chooses to try and defund the VA. But that's not realistically possible. So, we need Congress to just continue to do what it's doing under the current HVAC, House Veterans Affairs Committee chair, who called out this problem. We need to have them continue to hold these VA officials accountable as much as possible, call them in, do hearings, And, you know, at the end of the day, it depends on the administration to find the right people for these slots, people who will look out for veterans instead of looking out for senior bureaucrats.
John Byrnes, thank you very much for joining us on Capitol Review.
Thanks, Mark.